So how do you get an SEO to show you their O face?
Oh.
Well, it's really simple. You just give them some free backlinks. Unless you're the guy on a recent webmaster hangout who was complaining to John Mueller about losing 50% of their traffic due to bad links. One minute you're buying high DA links from a vendor and your traffic's roaring, next minute
It's gone. It's all gone.
In this week's Canonical Chronicle, we will be diving into a 60-second supercut of what happened this week in search, the final diagnosis of the May 2020 algorithm update, some common but avoidable JavaScript mistakes from Google Engineer Martin Splitt, as well as some Search Console bugs and Google Discover bugs, and lastly, we're going to jump into Google's response to that webmaster saying 50% of their traffic's gone due to dodgy links. As always, this week's news is available as a slide deck. Just sign up to the Canonical Chronicle newsletter, email.taipeimedia.net to sign up for free. So without further ado, let's get into it. For all you internet babies out there with an attention span of a PPC consultant, here's what happened this week in search. 60 seconds on the clock. The 2020 algorithm update has now finished rolling out, and I think I can speak for all SEOs when I say, thank God for that. Early speculation appears to suggest that it's a rollback to pure PageRank, with many thinking that machine learning is going to start to kick in and alter the SERPs even more in the coming weeks. Oh good, more instability. Martin Splitt was also interviewed this week on Search Engine Land by Barry Schwartz. Here's the main takeaways from the interview. He said, don't try and invent the SEO wheel. A fast, technically sound site with good content and links is essentially the SEO formula. When it comes to JavaScript, reduce complexity as much as possible. Don't build workarounds for basic things, just do basic things. And one of the things he also said was sometimes don't use JavaScript at all. And the entire SEO community were like, there's also a new report in Search Console for guided recipes, so you can now mark up recipe guides, debug all of that markup right inside the Search Console. How exciting, right?
I don't care.
Also, quick heads up, if you've noticed your Google Discover traffic is having a bit of a wobble, that's because of a logging internal issue that Google are having. They're trying to fix it, but expect your data to be out for at least a couple of weeks. Okay, now on to the main event. In a webmaster hangout this week, someone asked John Mueller the following.
Over the past few weeks, I've noticed steady increasing number of backlinks in Search Console from 2 domains to my website. From these 2 domains, every single page on my website is linked about 2 to 3 times, accumulating more than 500 backlinks over the past 4 to 8 weeks.
He goes on to say that he experienced a 50% traffic drop at the time of discovering these links. Now, John doesn't really have enough information to properly diagnose it, but he essentially says Google will work it out, just ignore it. And to be honest with you, I would tend to agree with that. But let's do what SEOs do best and hypothesize about something with absolutely no data to back it up.
You smell that?
Huh?
It smells like bullshit.
Okay, so the guy is asking John and he's saying these links are actually coming from an empty page.
Looking at the originating URLs in Search Console, I saw that these originating URLs from 2 domains are empty pages.
So instantly all the black hats in the room are like, I know what's going on. This is good old referrer spam. So back in the day, you would use something called a pingback and referrer spam to get links on these traffic logging sites. And this is exactly what this is. They've kind of spoofed the link and Googlebot's picking it up to think that it's genuine. So absolutely nothing to worry about, fine to ignore. However, let's assume for a second that maybe it is actually spam link building. So if someone builds 500 links to your site in 48 hours, does it have a negative effect? Well, I reached out to my favourite dodgy bastard, Mr. Craig Campbell, to get his opinion.
Is negative SEO a thing? In my opinion, it is, yes. Anything that you can do to manipulate a search engine in a positive manner can be done the exact same way in reverse, and you can cause a lot of damage to people's websites. Obviously, Google are not going to confirm that that is a thing, but if you use any kind of common sense, and you can manipulate things in a positive manner, then you can also do it in a negative manner.
And there we have it, Craig taking the black hat thing very literally, as he's actually wearing a hat that is black. Okay, so negative SEO is probably a thing, but how do we protect against it? Well, you need to keep an eye out on something called toxic links on a regular basis and make sure you're disavowing them. Remember, this isn't going to be a one-off event. It's going to be something that's going to be ongoing. So I'd recommend a tool that sends you alerts if it discovers any toxic links so you can keep disavowing them. Lots of tools out there, Caribou, link research tools, and of course the SEMRush backlink checker. For ongoing maintenance, I prefer the SEMRush tool just because of the notifications, but for like hardcore heavy lifting, it's definitely link research tools or Caribou. Here's what one of the experts at SEMRush had to say about it.
To protect against toxic or unnatural links, I suggest using SEMRush backlink audit tool, and I strongly recommend to add Google Search Console integration to keep all the link data in one place. Then inside the tool, you will have toxic score for each link, authority score, referral traffic, and other important metrics to evaluate the quality of a link. And then you can send it to the disavow tool or send a removal request to the website owner right from the backlink audit tool.
So there you have it. If you see bad links, probably disavow them. Or should you? I actually made what I now consider a mistake by asking Twitter, does anyone even use the disavow tool? And this is what they had to say. Okay, so I tweeted out and asked anyone out there that doesn't believe in using the disavow tool. My good friend Chris came back and said, don't care. Thanks, Chris. Super valuable input. Jerry White says he wouldn't use it much. So Joe is a friend of mine who works in the gambling niche amongst other many things. And he says he's done quite a few over the years, so that's an interesting thing we'd want to pick up on. But most people, as we're going through this, are saying like, if it's a small amount of links, don't bother. Some people are actually saying that using the disavow has a bad effect on their rankings. And one person actually went as far as to say that, well, actually, I remove a lot of the disavows when I first get an SEO client. Now, there's one person in particular that I'm going to listen to above all else, and that is Mr. Craig Campbell. The reason being, he is the owner of link research tools. He must have seen literally billions of what you would call spam links. And he says, there's a few SEO gods who only used it once in their life, yes. There's a few Google employees who don't use it on their personal website, yes. But otherwise, ... Now, this guy has processed literally hundreds of thousands of disavow files with his tool. So if he's saying you should use it, you probably should. Now, looking at the consensus of the community, typically don't bother using it unless you've had a manual penalty or you're under attack from a negative SEO attack. Otherwise, yeah, it's pretty smart to use it. That's everything for this week's Canonical Chronicle. If you would like this week's news in a slide deck form, you can get it by simply subscribing to our newsletter at email.typeamedia.net. If you like this video, please like it. If you loved it, please subscribe. And until next time, we will see you later.